The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the bustling street. I hurried along, trying to avoid the Imperial officers stationed at every corner. No citizen should be seen after dark. Eton's a rule. A sharp whistle from nearby made me jump. A man in tattered clothes darted behind an alleyway. He was quick, but not fast enough. Two stormtroopers rounded the corner and gave chase. The man slipped inside a narrow entrance, disappearing without a trace. I sighed with relief as I reached my small apartment building. As I unlocked the door, I noticed the light on in the hallway. My neighbor, Arin, was always up late, but tonight his presence felt ominous. Arin, look now. Imagine Kenira Karen. Bueno, Mr. One. I called softly, stepping into the dimly lit hall. I young Sarah Karen, Missy Manson, Maddie's Edward Karen. Wait, show, had a more kinds. No answer. Had a minimum worker. No show, no sound so, no answer. I pushed open the door to his room and found him huddled by a small window, eyes wide with fear. What's going on? What's going on? Suddenly, two stormtroopers burst in, their blaster rifles at the ready. Arin froze, and my heart pounded. They scanned the room, then turned back to me. They'd come back to me. Where owns the information? One of them demanded, his voice cold and harsh. Arin shook his head violently. I don't know what you're talking about. The trooper raised his rifle, pointing it at Arin's chest. Donale to us. No. This ship, Nita or Cheru, not regarding, no crouch she stepped it. Perhaps nature Valkyrie ground. A sharp noise echoed through the building up. Another neighbor shouting in alarm. The stormtroopers glanced around, before turning their attention back to me. I have nothing, I said quickly, backing away towards the door. Litas, just go. They hesitated, then nodded and left, leaving Arin shaking on the floor. The Empire watches everything. I closed the door behind them and leaned against it, my mind racing. What did they want from Arin? Only so, what did they want from Arin? What would happen next? Could I be next? On reason, Cartel Town, or could I joke? Could I dance smashing? Actually, I'll be down. Life inside the Galactic Empire, or Stimu, Nightmare. Manishakwanro, or the Galactic Empire. Every morning, I step out of my modest apartment and onto the bustling Coruscant streets. How many times have I seen the Imperial Eye hover over me today? I hurry to the supply station for ration tokens. Now, the rule here is clear. No ration tokens, no food. Hoarding or stealing means immediate exile if caught by them. A crowd gathers as stormtrooper inspects supplies with military precision. My heart skips a beat. I've seen too many disappearances this way. Will today be my lucky day? Wind chill. The eye looms overhead, watching everything. Is it better to blend in or stand up and fight? Shadows loomed as I darted down the alleyway, avoiding the Imperial patrol's harsh light. Inside my small apartment, Arin huddled by the window, her eyes wide with terror. The Empire's rule was unyielding. Ration tokens were the only key to survival. I hurried to the supply station, heart pounding. The queue snaked around the corner, and a stormtrooper stood watch, his rifle at the ready. Token, please, he demanded, eyeing me suspiciously. I fumbled for my token, sweat trickling down my back. It's right here, I whispered, offering it with trembling hands. He scanned it quickly, then nodded. Move along. Run the shows. Run the start. Want me to send or ever Henry? Never run, or I didn't stay. But as I turned to go, another stormtrooper approached Arin, his face stern. What are you doing out so late? He asked, voice cold. Arin flinched, clutching my arm tighter. Just going for a walk, she stammered. Ranger. The trooper glanced at me. Honor, Argento, this one's with her. Missioner, Myronigi. I said fine, but keep your eyes open. No. I squeezed Aaron's hand and hurried away, leaving them to their scrutiny. The station cleared quickly, now that the stormtroopers were here. But, as I walked back home, a chill ran down my spine. Disappearances had doubled this month, and whispers of a secret detention center circulated. The fear lingered. Who would be taken next? I pushed past the throngs of late-night workers. Aaron's breath ragged behind me. The supply station looms ahead, its entrance flanked by two menacing stormtroopers. The rule is simple and cruel. No ration tokens, no sustenance. No sustenance, no freedom. Aaron clutches a handful of faded tokens in his trembling fingers as we approach the station. A trooper eyes us suspiciously, then motions for us to enter. Inside, the air is thick with fear and the scent of desperation. Lines form quickly around the token dispenser, but our meager stash may not get us through. A commotion erupts at the entrance. A civilian is being pushed inside by an angry trooper. Aaron's face pales, fearing the trooper will come for his sister next. I grip his arm tighter, trying to steady him. The dispenser begins to malfunction, spitting out empty tokens and refusing our last few. Panic surges through me as I realize we'll never make it. The troopers are closing in. A sudden shout echoes from the detention center, followed by shouts of alarm. Aaron's eyes widen with terror as he sees his sister being dragged away. No, he screams, trying to break free, but held back by my grip. The stormtroopers barge inside, herding us towards the exits under their blaster point. We are not safe. They will take us too. Aaron's sister screams as stormtroopers drag her away. I push through the crowd, my heart pounding. Aaron clutches the tokens like they're the last lifeline. The dispenser rejects them with a hiss, and troopers close in, weapons drawn. Imperial protocol demands strict adherence to ration token quotas. Any discrepancy is grounds for immediate arrest. Troopers haul Aaron's sister away, their terrified cries echoing through the station as I watch helplessly. Panic surges within me. Fear of the looming danger in the detention center, now more pressing than ever. What will happen to Aaron's sister? What will happen to Aaron's sister? I push through the crowd, clutching tokens desperately, as stormtroopers drag away Arina's screaming sister. The cold metal of their armor is like daggers in my chest. Imperial protocol demands strict token quotas. Any shortfall leads to arrest. Aaron fights against the troopers, but they overpower her and drag her away. My vision blurs with tears, and I can barely see as I back towards the dispenser. Another stormtrooper approaches, his eyes narrowing on me. Tokens, he growls, holding out a hand. I fumble for my last few tokens, offering them reluctantly. Aristern. His fingers close around them too quickly, and he snarls, "That was all?" Yes, sir. I stammer, backing away. Right, sir. He steps closer, his breath hot on my face. His eyes narrow. Next time, you'll have none. The trooper shoves me roughly aside and moves on to the next person in line. My heart races as I watch Aaron being taken away, her cries muffled by the crowd, and fear grips me, clinging like a second skin. What will happen to Aaron now? What is start out and then this version? Now I speak up. Linda, will she ever return? And Leah ducks into the shadows as stormtroopers march past. She watches them until they are out of sight, her heart pounding. The token dispenser is just ahead. One rule. Tokens are issued only through approved ration centers to ensure compliance with Imperial regulations. She fumbles for a token in her pocket, but it turns empty. Punishing mounted by waiting on the land and Napian. Panic rises as she remembers the trooper's warning. Anyone caught without tokens faces detention and re-education. She cannot afford that. Leia glances at the dispenser, then back at the trooper who just passed. A nearby merchant, a known token broker, catches her eye. He always seems to have extra tokens for sale. No. If Leia is seen with the merchant again, Shion'll be branded as a subversive and face severe punishment. The merchant notices her lingering stare and approaches. Are tokens needed? Oh. Leia nods frantically, clutching at the air as if holding invisible tokens. I need 5. Richard, Okaro, or dynamic either. The merchant hands over 5 tokens without a murmur, but casts a wary glance around. Will Lea's desperation lead to her discovery? Leia ducks into the crowded market, her eyes scanning for any sign of movement. The air hums with tension as she approaches the token dispenser, heart pounding in sync with the trooper's warning from earlier. The rule is simple. Tokens are required to move freely within the city limits. Failure can result in public flogging, or worse, disappearance into the Imperial labor camps. Leia inserts her remaining tokens and quickly takes out more from a hidden pouch, pressing them into the dispenser with shaking hands. The machine whirs to life, spitting out exactly 3 tokens. She stuffs them into her pocket, glancing around nervously as stormtroopers patrol the entrance to the city. Arin's absence haunts Leia like an unhealed wound. She needs to find her sister and ensure Shio's safe from the Empire's cruelty, but every moment, without enough tokens, feels like a step closer to Arinar's fate. How long can she keep this secret before it catches up with her? Misty, out and back and Misty. Leia slides her last token into the dispenser, the machine whirring as it dispenses her needed 3 tokens. She clutches them tightly, scanning the bustling market for any sign of approaching stormtroopers. The rule is clear. No movement without tokens or risk of labor camps. A shadow passes overhead, and Leia looks up just in time to see a TIE fighter swoop low, its blaster cannons trained on the crowd. A sharp command crackles over an intercom. She can't hear but feels all citizens gather at the central square for an announcement. Leia's heart sinks as she realizes Arin and her sister might be among the gathered. She ducks behind a stall, watching as stormtroopers push the crowd towards the center. What if they're searching for her too? Leia slips through the crowded market, her breath quickening as stormtroopers push citizens towards the central square. She feeds 3 tokens into the dispenser with trembling hands. The rule forbids movement without tokens. An approaching TIE fighter adds to the tension. A loudspeaker crackles overhead. All civilians must proceed to the central square immediately. Leia darts out of sight, her heart pounding. If caught without enough tokens, she faces labor camps. Hard labor and worse. She spots a narrow alley and dives inside, pressing herself against the wall as stormtroopers march down the street. The TIE fighter circles overhead, its light glinting off polished armor. Donation, Ranger, Ding, and I was a Demetria Pentopi. Leia's eyes dart for an escape route. A sudden noise startles her. It outs a rat scurrying past. She grabs hold of it and stuffs it into her pocket, then presses on, feeling hunted. If caught, she'll be exposed as token Lissa, her fate sealed in the labor camps. The alley ends at a dead end. Leia looks around frantically for an exit, but sees none. She waits for a group of stormtroopers marching by and hopes they don't notice her. She steps out into the open square just as the TIE fighter banks away, leaving her breathless and exposed. Can she survive this day without drawing more attention? Leia darts between stalls, her breath coming in short gasps. The TIE fighter looms overhead, its engines rumbling like distant thunder. She clutches the last token tightly, willing it to be enough. A rule forbids movement without tokens. An approaching stormtrooper spots her hesitation and demands the token. Leia's heart races as she relinquishes the last token, sensing her chance for escape slipping away with every moment. She reaches the token dispenser just as stormtroopers clear the market, their metal boots clanking on the stone floor. The central square is now a sea of terrified faces, all waiting for a command that none wish to hear. A rule forbids movement without tokens. Exposure means labor camps. Leia watches in horror as a woman is dragged away, her children screaming for help. Leia fears what might happen to her if she's caught. Leia dodges through the crowded stalls, her breath coming in short gasps. Her hand tightens around the precious token, its value life itself. Stormtroopers close rank, their boots clacking ominously. The protocol states that all citizens must present a valid token for verification. A trooper steps forward, his rifle at the ready. "Token, please," he demands, voice monotone and cold. Leia's heart pounds as she fumbles in her pocket. "I know stone that she was in her pocket." The dispenser looms just ahead, its red light pulsing ominously. She can feel the eyes of every stall owner on her, their whispers cutting like knives. The trooper's hand flashes out, grabbing Leia by the arm. "Hand it over," he growls. Leia's fingers grasp a token and force it into his palm. "I've seen that we're done. I don't know this done." His grip tightens, and she feels a sharp pain as he yanks her closer. The token disappears into his uniform pocket. "I don't understand. I don't." And then disappears into his uniform pocket. No, she has no token to prove her legitimacy. The trooper shoves Leia away with a rough shove. She stumbles, nearly tripping over a vendor's stand. "Go around." A cry of alarm erupts from the crowd, and soldiers pour in, their rifles at the ready. Leia runs, weaving through the stalls as more stormtroopers close around her. Panic surges through her veins like fire. "What's it called? I can identify now. Like fire. Where can she hide?" "Norton Dorm. Marty's cell. At Arnie Jones' cell. It's an admission. Right actually now." She scans the area, worried about what might happen if they catch her. Amidst the chaos, Leia spots a narrow alleyway. She darts inside just as a trooper ons. Boot crushes what could have been her last token. Leia ducks behind a dumpster, her breath coming in quick gasps. The stormtrooper's boots clatter down the alley. She fingers the non-existent token, her knuckles white. Red light flickers from the dispenser. Rule: no tokens mean no food. Starvation looms if caught. A trooper's flashlight beams into the alley. Leia squeezes closer to the wall, sweat trickling down her spine. "Gotcha," a voice growls, and she feels a rough hand on her shoulder. Panic surges as memories of labor camps flood her mind. Her eyes dart for an escape route. Will they recognize her face from the patrol? Leia huddles deeper into the shadows as the stormtroopers' boots crunch closer. Now, panic grips her like a vice. She can feel their eyes on her, searching for any sign of weakness. A rule bites hard. All citizens must carry identification at all times. Leia's heart sinks further. She has no hide, only stolen goods and fear. Any movement could seal her fate. A trooper steps closer, his flashlight beams sweeping the alley. Leia freezes, willing time to slow down. One erection, unleash an window. The light stops inches from where she crouches, then moves on, a moment of reprieve. She must find a token or risk everything. But what if there is no escape? What if they catch her now? Leia's breaths come in short gasps, as the troopers continue their patrol, leaving her alone but not free. Leah huddles in the alley as stormtroopers search nearby. She clings to a stolen token, needing it for safety, but risking everything if caught without identification. The trooper's departure leaves Leigh vulnerable yet hopeful. A sudden screech of tires and angry voices distract the stormtroopers. Leah seizes the moment, darting out into the market square. She weaves through the crowd, her heart racing with a mix of fear and desperation. A token dispenser looms ahead, its red light flickering ominously. Leah reaches for the dispenser, fingers trembling as she inserts the stolen token. The machine whirs to life, spitting out an unexpected item. A small sealed message container. Panic surges. She can't afford any more risks. She stuffs the envelope into her pocket and flees, stormtroopers closing in again from another direction. Leah speeds down a side street, every step echoing with the urgency of her escape. The token dispenser's rule bites hard. 1 token per day or face consequences. Leah rounds a corner to find herself in front of the token dispensers again, this time with no token and troopers closing in. She wonders what new form of torture the Empire has devised for those who run out of tokens. Leah darts into the shadows of a bustling spice stall, her breath ragged. She stuffs the message container into her belt, hoping it can buy her some time. The stormtroopers are closing fast. Identify yourself, a trooper barks, his blaster trained on Leah's back. Leah freezes, then shoves a fake token into her pocket and straightens. Just a citizen, here to get my spice ration, she whispers, trying to sound calm. The trooper sniffs the air around her. Why do you make dark in one? Whether I'm right there, thou can't be crying. Arenter, you smell of fear. A nearby vendor steps forward, his voice trembling. She's with me, sir. We were just discussing the latest spice shipment. Reluctantly, the trooper nods and moves on. Leah watches them go, then quickly heads for another dispenser. The rule is clear. No token means labor camps, but without a message container, she has no way to prove her innocence if caught again. Leah fumbles with the new token, fingers trembling as she inserts it into the machine. A small canister drops out. But when she turns to leave, a trooper steps into her path. Where did you get that? He demands, snatching the container from Lee's hand. She tries to pull away, but his grip is firm. It just fell out. Search her, he orders, and another trooper appears beside him. Leah feels the cold metal of their weapons as they frisk her. The token clinks against her belt. She can't hide it now. A final sentence echoes in her mind. What will they find inside that container? Leah weaves through the crowded spice market, her heart pounding as stormtroopers close in. She stuffs the message container into the pocket of an old woman's cloak and presses onward. The Imperial rule here is strict. Every citizen must insert a new token each day to avoid labor camps. Failure to do so means swift extraction from the city or exile or worse. Leah reaches her stall, a small kiosk selling exotic spices. She fumbles for a token in her pocket, then stops as she notices a stormtrooper eyeing her suspiciously. With a deep breath, she places the token in the slot, but just as she turns to leave, the trooper approaches. Where's your message container? He demands, his voice a low growl. Leon's fingers clutch the cloak, the message container cold against her skin. She can feel it trembling inside. What do I wear? And what if they find it? What if I do not have one today? She stammers, trying to keep calm. The trooper snarls and reaches for her. But before he can grab her, a commotion breaks out from another part of the market. The trooper hesitates, and Leah uses the distraction to slip away, heart racing as she darts through the crowd. What will they find inside now? Leah darts through the crowded alleyways, her breath ragged. The spice market is a sea of uniformed stormtroopers, their eyes scanning for any sign of rebellion. She clutches the small message container tightly, knowing its contents could mean freedom or imprisonment. The Imperial tokens are due in half an hour. Gavyn shipyard is just beyond the next intersection. Leah rounds a corner and nearly collides with a patrol squad. Their leader, a tall officer named Thorne, steps forward, his eyes narrowing as he scans her. Thorne's rule: unauthorized individuals must present tokens or face immediate processing. The officer snatches the container from her hand, cracking the lock with a deft motion. Leah bristles as his gloved fingers rummage through the contents. Inside, Thorne finds only an old piece of parchment. He smirks, tucking it into his pocket before tossing the empty container to the ground. The map is gone, and now Gavyn will need new intel. Leah watches as Thorne departs, her heart sinking. She must find another way to reach Gavyn, or risk losing everything. With a deep breath, she begins to run again, the weight of failure pressing down on her. Leah's desperation grows as she searches for any sign of hope. Leah darts through the narrow alleyways, her breath ragged as stormtroopers' boots echo in the distance. Leah slips into Gavyn's workshop, just as Hart's about to launch a drone. Gavyn scans the empty container, his eyes narrowing. "What did you find?" he demands, voice low but urgent. Leah hesitates, then pulls out an old parchment, crumpled and stained. "Anything now," she whispers, her heart sinking as Gavyn's expression darkens. Thorne's rule is clear. Every Imperial token must be replaced by midnight or face severe consequences. Without the map inside the message container, they are hours behind schedule and in grave danger. The drone whirs to life, but it arms too late. Stormtroopers burst into the workshop, weapons drawn. "What do you have here?" one demands, eyeing Gavyn's equipment suspiciously. Leah clutches her chest as panic surges. "Or nothing." She insists, her voice trembling. Gavyn glances at the drone, then back to Lee. Mission aim day stars. The Resistance needs that map, now more than ever. Leah skitters down the shadows of Coruscant's underbelly, her breath misting in the cold night air. Stormtrooper Sar. Boots echo from above as she ducks into a narrow gap between crates. Inside the message container, the map's faded ink whispers secrets of the Resistance base. Gavyn peers through the workshop art's window, his heart pounding with dread. The stormtrooper squad outside has grown bolder. Yardra, methodically searching every nook and cranny. "We need to find it," he grits out, his voice barely above a whisper. Lisa fumbles in her pocket, pulling out a small scanner. None. She scans the map's location, coordinates against her own memory of its last hiding spot. The Imperial tokens are due by dawn. If they do not act soon, both will be trapped. With a deep breath, Leah dashes back into the spice market, weaving between stalls as if lost in thought. Her mind races through the possible locations. Underneath a fountain, inside an old storeroom, she spots a familiar figure in a corner, hunched over some crates. "Thorne," she whispers, her voice trembling but steady. "I need your help." Thorne looks up, his eyes narrowing suspiciously. He knows better than to trust anyone outside the Empire's rank. But Hurung's also a man of few principles when it comes to survival. "I'd tell him, right out the nation, and he can turn. It's time we tell him to wow, out the air." "What do you want?" he growls. Leah holds out the scanner and map, coordinates. "The map's here. If we work together, we can find it before the troopers." Thorne considers her offer, his gaze flickering between distrust and desperation. Fine, he says finally, his voice a low rumble. But if this fails, you are on your own. Together, they split up, Leah moving swiftly through the market, while Thorne stays hidden in the shadows. Each moment feels like an eternity as they race against time. I clutched you out window, or recognize, my best. What will happen when their paths cross again? The Eastern is standing away. Leah ducks behind a pile of crates, her breath heavy. She checks the container again, making sure it's empty this time. Stormtroopers are closing in, their boots clacking against the stone. Thorne's rule demands exact tokens, sir. No substitutions allowed, or Gavyn faces labor camps die. The map inside could save him, but also seals his fate if found out. Leia dashes towards Gavyn's workshop, her hand brushing past a sketch of the base, hidden beneath layers of dust and grime. She stuffs it into her pocket, hoping Thorne will not notice. Inside, Gavyn is frantically searching through old schematics. What do we have? Leah whispers urgently. But what's soon canal? Whispers urgently. Just this, Gavyn replies, holding up an ancient blueprint. Itar's not enough. Me. Leah's fingers tremble as she recalls the urgency of their mission. Time is running out. Dawn breaks in just a few hours. She needs to find another way, but Thorne watches them closely. Can you make it? Gavyn asks, his voice barely above a whisper. I'm not in least. Leah looks around the workshop, the shadows dancing on the walls. I have to try. Leah darts past, flickering holograms, her breath ragged. Gavyn asks, voice echoes from the workshop. You won't need more than this. His fingers trace intricate lines on the worn blueprint. Thorne strides in, his gaze sharp, as Leah hands over a crumpled sketch. This is all you have, he demands, pinning her with a glare. He warns her that more will come at dawn's first light. Leah swallows hard, clutching Gavyn's arm. We need more time, she whispers. There is a chance tool. Istandanisha, Naya to Dark. No job and tongue. Thorne snatches the sketch away, his expression tightening. You have one day. We show. Now and now. Let's sit. Now Jamila. My other. My Nixon curry. He turns and leaves, leaving Leah and Gavyn alone. Gavyn sighs heavily, crumpling the blueprint in his hand. I need allies out, he murmurs, looking around for a solution. Leah's heart sinks as she realizes they are running out of time. She glances at the dimly lit workshop, wondering how much more this day can hold before dawn breaks, and their cover is blown. Leah slips between crates, her breath ragged as she reaches Gavyn's workshop. But that's under. The dim light barely illuminates Thorne's sharp gaze. Gavyn fumbles with the blueprint, his hands trembling. Actually, sorry, I came out. I died to an urging out to break kind. I'll chase her out of black. We need more than this, he whispers urgently. Thorne's voice booms, echoing through the shadows. Thorne demands, what more do you want? What else do you want? Tokens are a stint in the labor camps. Leia hesitates, then pulls out her sketch. Our guy have something, Aichi says, holding it up. A contact who can get us tokens. Gavyn's eyes widen in hope. Who is it? He asks, his voice barely above a whisper. Thorne narrows his eyes, clearly displeased. No more delays. Complete this task by dawn, or I'll see both of you in the camps. Leah and Gavyn exchange a determined glance. I can do it, Al, she murmurs, her heart pounding. But as dawn creeps closer, the workshop iron's flickering lights grow weaker, casting long shadows that whisper of unseen dangers lurking just beyond their reach. Will they find the tokens before Thorne's deadline? Lee glides through the dimly lit workshop, her breath fogging in the cold air. Gavyn's fingers dance over the blueprint, his eyes never leaving Thorne's unyielding gaze. The rule of the Imperial base is clear. Failure equals labor camps. How should I let you measure apprehension lion? Time is scarce, and mistakes are costly here. Right on the while, Nigaja, can die. Gavyn whispers urgently. We need more than this sketch. We need the droid logs. Leia nods, her heart pounding. Missioner, I reckon not take a right. Landing no. The blueprint alone won't be enough to convince Thorne. I ain't shouting. And stir I won't take him out, or do not bring a storm. Thorne's voice cuts through their deliberation, crisp and unyielding. Either find the logs or face your fate. Leia grabs Gavyn's arm, pulling him towards a hidden door in the wall. Shadows stretch out as dawn approaches, casting long, ominous shapes across the room. The air hums with the tension of impending doom. Quickly, Leia hisses, we need to find these logs before it turns too late. Leia darted through the narrow workshop, her heart racing as dawn approached, and its light spread over the grimy floor. Gavyn jogged beside her, his fingers tracing the sketch with urgency. One don't call, with urgency. 3 minutes, he whispered. Or we are done for. Thorne's harsh voice echoed from outside. You have 10 more tokens, or you serve. With a swift motion, Leia pushed open the hidden door and sprinted down the dark corridor. The droid logs were within reach of 3, 4, 5, but not enough. Gavyn grabbed another log, his breath ragged. Amidst, Marinadium, Minnow Searcher, Underground. We need one more. Leia's fingers fumbled with the final log as Thorne burst into the workshop. No more games, he snarled, his eyes burning with malice. Submit or join the slaves. Dawn bathed their frantic figures in a harsh glow, casting long shadows that seemed to whisper of impending doom. Where are they? Where are they? Thorne demanded, his grip tightening on Leon's arm. Leia looked up at Gavyn, her eyes filled with unspoken questions. We cannot. Let them get us now. Gavyn nodded, determination etched into his features. Together or not at all, Leia and Gavyn dashed through the dimly lit workshop, their breaths coming in ragged gasps. Gavyn fumbles with the hidden door mechanism, his fingers trembling as dawn. Most light seeps through the cracks. More minutes, Gavyn whispers, his voice strained. Thorne's cold gaze pierces them from just beyond the doorway. You have 10 seconds. His words hang heavy in the air. Leia pushes open the secret panel and reaches for the last droid log with shaking hands. She pulls it free, but the door begins to close ominously as dawn brightens the workshop. Panic surges. They need that log now more than ever. Thorne's footsteps grow louder, his presence an oppressive weight. I'll hand it over, he demands, stepping closer, or I'll make you regret it. Gavyn hands Leia the log, and she shoves it into her satchel just as Thorne lunges for them. He snatches Gavyn's arm, pulling him back. Or let go of us. Leia yells, trying to pry loose from his grip. I'll let them go. Martin Portship. Thorne slams Gavyn against the wall, his face inches from their own. You have failed, he growls, tightening his hold. He snarls, the labor camp is your only option now. And the door slams shut behind them, cutting off any escape. Dawn bathes the room in a harsh, unwelcoming light. How long can they survive these walls? Leia fumbles with the droid log, sweat beading on his forehead. Gavyn's breath is ragged, eyes darting for an escape. Gavyn shifts uncomfortably, voice barely above a whisper. We can't give this to him. Thorne's shadow looms closer, menacing and unyielding. You have no choice, he growls. The door clicks shut behind them, sealing the tiny workshop in a harsh, sterile light. Panic surges through Leia as Thorne moves towards them, his eyes cold and calculating. Hand it over now, or I'll make sure neither of you ever leave this room again. Hensher. Leah's fingers tighten on the log, desperation fueling his resolve. We can't just hand it over, he says firmly. It's our only chance. Waiter, when you can't recheck, not sell. Gavyn steps forward, backing Leah into a corner. Litar split up and find another way out. Thorne snarls, pulling out a blaster. Automation zone, underground mission, Blackman. Thorne snarls. You're both fools. Now give me the log, or face the consequences. Leah's heart races as Thorne advances. The log clutched in his hand feels like a lifeline. Fine, Leah says, handing over the log with trembling hands. But well, find another way out of here later. Misha going to start an entero. Or going to send conduction doctor. Thorne takes the log and smirks, turning to leave. You have until nightfall to come up with something better than this pathetic attempt. Leon's mind races as Thorne departs, the door clanging shut behind him. They're trapped in a harsh, unwelcoming light, wondering how long they can survive these walls. Can they find another way out? Or will their failure lead to even worse consequences? Dawn's harsh light pierces through the thin window, casting long shadows. The seconds drag by, interminably. Thorne snatches the droid log from Leon's grasp, his cold eyes piercing hers. You will regret this, he growls before turning to Gavyn, who stands frozen in fear. Leah's heart races as Thorne shoves her towards the door. Move, or I'll make you. With a desperate glance at Gavyn, she pushes past him, their only escape route now blocked by his towering form. They race down the dimly lit corridor, hearts pounding, bound. The air is thick with tension. Every step echoes ominously in the vastness of the Imperial facility. Leon's breath comes in short gasps as they dart into a maintenance room, locking the door behind them. Gavyn leans against it, chest heaving. The silence that follows is deafening. Thorne's footsteps fade until they are swallowed by the oppressive darkness. How long can we hide? Gavyn whispers, his voice trembling. When do win? Leon's fingers grip the droid log tightly, her knuckles white. We need to find a way out of here. A sudden crash from outside rattles the walls, and the door begins to shudder under an unseen force. Alright, starting. Thorne Os. Voice echoes through the ventilation system. The ground trembles as alarms wail, piercing their eardrums. We need to move, Gavyn says urgently, pulling Leah towards a hidden panel in the wall. What secrets does this facility hold, and how long can they evade Thorne's grasp? Light filters through dirty windows, creating long shadows in the workshop. Leah and Gavyn crouch behind the droid art's legs, their hearts pounding. Thorne's footsteps have faded into silence, but the ground shudders suddenly as alarms blare outside. The Imperial Guards perform routine security, checks every dawn and dusk to prevent escape attempts. The tremor rocks the workshop, sending dust motes dancing in the shaft of light from a skylight. They know they must act fast before the guards return. Got any ideas? Gavyn whispers, urgently. Arl. Leah shakes her head, glancing at the droid log clutched tightly. Thorne's threat lingers like a cold wind. Labor camp or worse. With a deep breath, Leah fumbles with a hidden compartment in the droid's leg and pulls out a small jagged tool. Follow me, she murmurs, grabbing Gavyn's hand. Almost. They slip into a narrow ventilation shaft, their path illuminated by the flickering light of emergency lights above. The air is thick with dust as they race through twisting metal passages, guided only by instinct and desperation. But the guards' footsteps are growing closer, their voices echoing in the narrow confines. How long can they stay hidden? Narrow, longer bestow our ain't of a patrol, finish in return. A long convection, roots just stone. Dust settles as Leah and Gavyn duck behind a heavy droid component. The ground trembles again, louder this time. Imperial security checks are a constant nightmare. They squeeze into another ventilation shaft, their progress slowed by grating metal. How much longer? Nice, sir, Gavyn whispers, his voice strained. Leia gestures silently, for him to wait as the lights flicker unpredictably, casting eerie shadows. Suddenly, alarms blare and red lights pulse in the distance. Guard patrols are closing fast on their trail. They dash through the narrow ductwork, bodies brushing against cold metal. A sharp turn sends Gavyn crashing into Lee. They stumble but quickly regroup. The guards are only a few meters away now, armed and wary. With a final burst of speed, they emerge into an open storage area. At her well, Leia grabs a droid and hovers it between them as a decoy. Stay low, she whispers, her heart pounding. The guards approach cautiously, their weapons at the ready. Leia hopes the ruse works as Gavyn scans for another exit. The ground trembles violently, and they realize the facility is under attack, perhaps by those seeking to free droids like these. Leia and Gavyn slip away into the chaos, hoping to find a way out through the commotion. Will their luck hold long enough? Dust clings to Leia's face as she slides into a dark corner, Gavyn close behind. The rule of Imperial security checks is relentless. Even here, in the shadows, alarms blare outside. They hear footsteps approaching guards, closing in fast. With a quick glance, Gavyn nods toward an open vent. All right through. There are, he whispers urgently. Leia and Gavyn squeeze into the narrow ventilation shaft, just as guards flood their current room. The vents are too small. They cannot fit both of them. Gavyn presses his hand against her cheek. I take it, Leia. We need to split up. His voice trembles slightly under the strain. Leia hesitates, but she knows heart's right. She holds out the droid log and whispers, I'll stay safe arm, before ducking into a side branch. The vent closes behind Gavyn as alarms echo louder. Alone in this labyrinthine ductwork, Leia must navigate silently, her only guide the faint hum of machinery. What dangers lie ahead? And will she find a way to reunite with Gavyn, or escape the clutches of Thorne? Leia slides deeper into the ventilation shaft, her breath misting in the chill air. She follows the droid log's faint hum, navigating around loose panels and avoiding the occasional burst of Imperial heat. The Imperial protocol states that all personnel must remain within designated areas during high alert. Leia knows Shah's breaking this rule, but it taunts a risk worth taking for her mission. A sudden vibration shakes the shaft as guards move closer outside. Leia freezes, her heart pounding against her ribcage. The consequence of being caught is immediate, severe punishment or death. She clings to the log, willing herself to stay silent and still. As she continues, a section of the duct collapses, sending debris cascading down. Leia's path is blocked, but she hears Gavyn calling from the other side. Her ally's voice is urgent, but the noise from above drowns out most of his words. Leia must find another way, or risk being discovered by Thorne and his forces. The moral uncertainty looms. Will her actions lead to freedom for herself and Gavyn, or just plunge them deeper into danger? Leia squeezes through a narrow gap, her heart pounding as she avoids guards patrolling the shaft. The droid log hums faintly, guiding her towards Gavyn's location. A sudden collapse of metal and stone blocks her path. Leia hesitates, then scans the area for another route. She spots a small access panel, slightly ajar on a nearby pipe. With a quick hand, she pops it open and drops into a smaller, more concealed duct. The rule is clear. All personnel must report to central processing every hour or face immediate punishment. Leia knows this by now, but evasion requires constant vigilance. She crawls silently through the cramped space, her breaths measured. The droid logs. Hum grows louder as she nears Gavyn's position. Just when she thinks they are safe, a guard shuffles past outside their new junction. Leia holds her breath, willing the noise to pass unnoticed. Suddenly, a muffled scream from somewhere in the complex sends chills down her spine. The consequences of delayed movement are dire. Thorne's wrath knows no bounds. Leia must hurry, or face the full force of his fury. Can she make it in time? Leia eases through a narrow duct, the hum of the droid log guiding her like an unyielding lighthouse. Suddenly, a guard rounds the corner, his boots clattering loudly. Leia ducks deeper into shadows, heart pounding. She follows the log's direction, emerging into a service corridor. Gavyn's voice crackles from a hidden comm. Leia, we're in the processing bay, find us. The droid log chirps urgently, now its path clear. But as she moves towards it, a muffled scream echoes from a nearby storeroom. The seconds drag on, interminably. Leia's breath comes in short gasps. Thorne will be here soon if they do not move. Navigating the bay, she spots Gavyn near a loading platform, his back to her. He looks up as the droid log draws close, and they quickly hug the wall. The scream grows louder, closer. Stay hidden, Gavyn whispers, eyes wide with fear. Leia nods, pressing against the bulkhead. A sharp intake of breath from outside catches both their attention. He turns a guard, scanning the area. They hold their breath as he passes by. The droid log's path leads directly into an open door. Why, through it lies Freema, or worse. Leia and Gavyn exchange a glance, then slip through the door. But Deandra, not alone. A figure in dark armor stands at the other end of the room. Thorne touched. His eyes meet theirs, cold and calculating. You should have stayed hidden, he growls. That was still in guard. Leon's pulse races as Thorne's presence looms, a stark reminder of their perilous situation. Leia squeezes through a narrow gap, her heart pounding as she escapes the processing bay. The droid log guides her to a hidden air vent above, but a collapsed section blocks the way. She peers into the darkness, spotting Gavyn's silhouette across the room. Gunley, 30 seconds left before Thorne arrives. The rule bites. In the Imperial zone, silence attracts attention. Leia's heavy breathing echoes through the ducts as she tries to remain unnoticed. She eases towards the blockage, finding a slim crevice between metal plates. Using her utility belt, she wedges herself in, fingers trembling with exertion. Her communicator beeps urgently, Gavyn's voice crackling through. Leia, we need you now! Or, a guard rounds the corner, his boots clattering against the floor. Leia holds her breath, praying for a miracle as the droid log emits a sharp beep-out, time running out. With a sudden burst of adrenaline, she pushes through the gap, landing awkwardly on the other side, just as Thorne's silhouettes looms outside their makeshift hiding spot. The air vent grinds loudly, drawing their pursuers closer. How can Leia and Gavyn make it to the escape pod before they aren't discovered?